Hey guys, welcome back to the Pulling Curls podcast. Today on episode 174, we are talking about being afraid of the epidural. Let's untangle it. Hi, I'm Hillary Erickson, the curly head behind the Pulling Curls podcast, Pregnancy and Parenting Untangled. There's no right answer for every family, but on this show, we hope to give you some ideas to make life simpler at your house. Life's tangled, just like my hair. The epidural is something that people are honestly super afraid of. I will say that a lot of my patients, and honestly, I think even me, gets real shaky when anesthesia comes in because they're just nervous about it, right? They think it's going to be a huge deal. And I will say most of my patients find that it was not near as scary as they were anticipating it to be. So today I wanted to give you 4 tips in case you are afraid of the epidural that might help you for it. Do you feel prepared for your delivery? In just 3 short hours, you can be prepared for the confident, collaborative delivery you want. You'll know what to expect and how to talk with your healthcare team, and there are no boring lessons in this class. I'll use humor, stories from my 20 years in the delivery room to engage both of you. I love how Alyssa told me that she found herself laughing at things that used to sound scary. Most of all, you guys are going to be on the same page from bump to bassinet. Join the online prenatal class for couples today. You can save 15% with coupon code UNTANGLED. You can find the link in the show notes. The first one is to know how normal it is to be afraid of it. I have so many patients who apologize because they're shaking or they're embarrassed by it. I mean, I am a labor nurse and I get a little nervous when I go in to do an epidural. It's just a lot of unknown. You're worried. We are biologically programmed to be very protective of our backs. So it would be very normal for us to not want anything to hurt it. So nurses understand that you're nervous and that we are there to help support you. So I think that's one of the best tips to know is that it's normal. And your nurse is used to helping people confront their fears and get through the epidural process. The second thing is that you literally cannot see them put in the epidural. I know a lot of people are like, don't let me see the IV. Some people want to look at the IV, but most people prefer not to look at the IV. But with the epidural, you literally can't unless you're like in The Exorcist and your head can turn all the way around because where they are putting the needle is just not somewhere that we can see. So if that's a concern of yours, most often you never see the epidural. I know they can be scary to see if you've seen one online. Let me be very clear that that entire needle is not going in you. I have some patients that I think that needle would have gone all the way through. The needle is big so that you have a little bit more play as you're putting it in. That's the only reason that the needle is bigger than, something that you might normally see. So you can't see it. And sometimes that's comforting for people. The third thing is to learn the process. Now, guys, in the show notes, I'm going to link a YouTube video that I did that I show the entire process using a Raggedy Ann doll. And I go through everything like how they clean your back and that might feel cold, how they numb it and that might feel bee sting. You're going to learn the whole process. So I would 100% recommend checking out that video. I just use mostly like household items, a few things I bought on Walmart to just show you what to expect. That's a good one to find out as well. Now, the fourth one apparently really varies hospital to hospital. Every hospital that I've worked at, the partner was allowed to stay. Then during COVID, I heard some partners weren't allowed to stay because anesthesia was concerned that they would catch COVID from the partner, even though anesthesia has always been masked during the procedure. Now, you have to remember that the epidural, it's really important that everything stays sterile because we obviously don't want to introduce bacteria into our spinal fluid. That would be really bad. Infection would be one of the things we're really trying to prevent in the epidural placement process. But most often, and you can check with your hospital, ask your provider, they might know, your partner can stay in the room. And one of the things I love to do is set up the partner in front of the patient because most partners have to sit down for the epidural placement. Anesthesia generally doesn't like the partner looking at what they're doing. And we've had a fair number of partners faint. So we want them to be seated because we can't be dealing with the birther, having the epidural and a partner fainting. So make sure you maybe have eaten something before the process as well. So the partner, I like to sit him in front of mom and then put the birther's feet on the partner's legs. So they raise the bed up. And then when we put your feet on their knees, it helps curl your back and you feel super supported. And the partner feels like they are involved in the process as well. So that's one of my favorite things, to involve the partner, help position. It's less work for me. So I really like to involve the partner. I would encourage you that if you're really worried about the epidural, mention that to your partner so that they can be extra attentive and supportive during this time. And maybe you can watch that video together that I will link in the show notes. If you're like, I don't want to find the show notes, my YouTube channel is The Pregnancy Nurse. And if you just type in epidural procedure, I believe it should come up and you'll see a picture of me and my Raggedy Ann doll. So it is pretty not scary, but it'll give you an idea of what's going to go on. And I think if you understand what's going to go on, you'll really be a-okay with the epidural process. That's epidurals. This one's kind of a short one this week, but I want you guys to understand that it's normal to be nervous about it. Most people find that it was much better than they anticipated, although I'm nervous every single baby. I've had I've had more epidurals, but that is a podcast for another day, because FYI, they do put in epidurals for pain relief for back and stuff. Mine was for tailbone pain. If you want a podcast on that, tell me on Instagram. But anyway, the epidural, it's not so bad. If you have any questions, come find me on Instagram. I will have a post that relates to this podcast episode, and I would love to chitty chat with you over there. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes. We have one talking about starting decluttering when you feel overwhelmed, which is so normal. Just like both of these things are very normal, epidurals and decluttering. And then I'm going to actually have a replay, so stay tuned for which episode I thought was a favorite. Thanks so much for joining us on today's episode. The Pulling Curls podcast grows when you share us on social media or leave a review. If you do, please tag us so that we can share and send you a virtual hug, which frankly is my favorite kind of hugging. Until next time, we hope you have a tangle-free day.